This is Speaking of Pets podcast, where we offer you up-to-date, science-based, accurate information.
Oh, Gizmo! Good kitty. You're such a good kitty.
And they're looking up and howling in unison.
If it affects pets, we'll talk about it. The Speaking of Pets podcast is sponsored by Blue Buffalo Veterinary Diets. Love them like family, feed them like family. Hey everyone, welcome to Speaking of Pets. I'm Dr. Alice Novotny-Jeroman, a board-certified veterinary dermatologist, and...
I'm Janet Novotny-King. I'm the doctor's sister. I am not board-certified or Dr. Schmachter medical in any way, shape, or form, other than saving the barf today from the dog. I've learned a lot from this show. So, Al.
So happy to hear that.
Yay. So, don't toss the barf. So, Al, who do we have today?
Well, speaking of learning a lot, we have one of my favorite people, and I'm not going to gush too much, Dr. Christopher Lee, who is a public health veterinarian with a special interest in parasitology and the host of VetWatch, one of my new favorite podcasts by DVM 360, which looks at wellness for our pets, vaccines, emerging diseases. I think what people don't know about public health veterinarians is they are out there on the front of this bird flu and this screwworm, which is now a threat to the United States. So today, I've asked Dr. Lee to address the subject of dog parks, friend or foe. What can we pick up in a dog park as humans? What can our pets pick up? And just kind of overall, what do we need to be careful about with our pet when we're out there walking them anywhere, regardless of a dog park or not? So welcome, Dr. Lee.
Oh, it's so great to be here.
Great to see you
Look at
again.
that bow tie. I love it.
So anyway, today on my walk at Hinkley Lake, and there's paved parkways and very little wildlife because they shoot the deer. Don't get me started on that. You'll see an occasional squirrel. They'll nail them next. But, walking the dog, and right in the middle, big clump of dog poop. You don't know how that drives me crazy. Let's pick it up, people. And it's not just the fact that they didn't pick it up. It's the fact that what danger does that involve for my pet?
Well, not just that. And then it rains. It's not going to just be sitting
Then it
there.
becomes dog soup, and then my dog walks through it and comes home, licks their feet.
And the human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I love that analogy when it becomes that dog soup. That's actually a necessary process for many different parasites. So often when I talk to people or audiences, it's okay, let's say your dog was infected with roundworms, hookworms, whipworms, tapeworms, but they were infected today. Mm-hmm. If your kid ate the little steaming turd that came out of the dog's bum right now, what would they get? And they're like, oh, well, they wouldn't get anything because the dog was infected today. I'm like, okay.
Oh, no.
What if the dog was infected 3 months ago with rounds, hooks, whips, and tapes? What is the kid going to get? And they kind of go through the list. I was like, nope, doesn't get any of them because they haven't embryonated. That's a process that takes time. And so a lot of these like rounds and hooks and tapes, or rounds and hooks and whips, they need to get into that soil and change. And so that is it's the steaming turd of 3 days ago that's now gotten into the soil. That's where the risk and the contamination of that environment occurs.
Wow.
Wow. Huh. Wow. So sitting turds, not good.
Well, no.
Sitting turd's not good.
And people don't realize, especially in little kids, and actually dogs are little kids because they're always putting their feet in their mouth, right? Mm-hmm. And kids are always putting their hands in their mouth. And kids have their hands all over dogs and cats. I don't think people realize what a risk that is.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it too is, age-based. In fact, I have this conversation a lot of times with people with roundworms. We talk a lot about the risks of zoonosis, and it is zoonotic. However, when you think of Toxicaricanus, unless you're under 13 years of age, it's not going to impact your health. But it is that risk within. And we look at visceral larval migrans where those worms get lost and they start going into your abdomen. That occurs up to 3 years of age. and that's why we always talk about blindness, is that really you need to be between the 3 and 13-year mark in order to be at risk for that.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, and that figures because that is the age group probably that washes their hands the least. You know, they're always busy and doing stuff, and
Well, the
who
parent's
knows,
responsible at that age,
yeah,
not the kid.
yeah.
Although not when I go to airports. I'm like, did
Ooh.
any of y'all wash your hands? What's going on here?
So, what are the most common infectious diseases that dogs can get at dog parks?
So yeah, great question. I mean, a lot of that often is very demographic, right? So that's one of those where you kind of need to go county by county. I would say that when we just think nationally, big picture, leptospirosis is probably one of my biggest passions, and it's a big deal because it's there, it's underdiagnosed, and it's zoonotic. And I think anytime, even if you get rid of things like deer, you have squirrels, and as long as squirrels are walking upon there, that becomes risk. So I think lepto from a bacterial standpoint is high nationally. If you take a look, there was a study that was looking at rounds and hooks, I believe, and it was looking at all different countries and even different states and counties. And in general, 21% of soils are going to be contaminated with some of these. And when we think of some of these eggs, remember, things like whipworm eggs and roundworm eggs, they're kind of immortal. They just last for years and years and years. So then you get maybe a person's house or the woods has a certain level of risk, but then you get a dog park, which is virtually a dog latrine, and it ends up becoming magnified there.
Wow.
So, can any of those things that the dogs get, like what can humans get at a dog park?
Yeah. So again, some of it's also, geographic, right? Are they wading into the water and being at risk for Heterbilharzia or sometimes cystosome? I know you spend a fair amount of time in Florida, Alice, right? You have the cool, it's actually a parasitic crustacean. How cool. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Linguatula serrata. So you have some unusual ones there too. I think, again, for me, human ones, big picture, leptospirosis is high on the list.
Yep.
Demographically, Lyme disease, ticks, things like that, anything that's tick-borne.
I just saw the neighbor walking their dog. We have like woods along the side of the road, and it's like long grass. And he's got the dog in there, and I'm like, it's like a freaking magnet for the ticks. Do you know what I mean? Like, not in the don't do the high grass. Don't get them in the road. I didn't say anything.
About magnets and ticks. There's a new study that was looking at the electromagnetic charge off people can actually allow ticks to fly through the air to their hosts.
Janet, it's Dr. Lee, Janet had Lyme and Bartonella because she's in Connecticut. Janet, you must have the field around you where they suck on you.
Well, we get the whole yard sprayed with it's cedar oil every single month or every 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. And then I literally cover myself. I have permethrin soaked clothes because I garden a lot, and I spray permethrin all over me. But now I'm going to do the thing where you put the duct tape in reverse on your socks and your pant leg. Because then they stick to it. But then I have to touch it to take it off.
Wow.
So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. But anyway, it's a little, and it's not just here; it's all over the world.
Yeah.
When I did tick dragging in Kansas, we put on Tyvek's galoshes, we duct taped that, but then because we were so worried about walking into an amblyomma nest where you can have 100 little ticks, we were all armed with little lint rollers.
Yes.
And when they were telling us that we're going to be armed, I was like, you mean napalm, right?
No.
I'm like, what's this lint roller?
They hand you a
the
lint
99-cent roller. Because we want you to look good out there.
I'm like, no. I need a flamethrower.
Oh, my God.
So I do have a funny story about the lint roller.
Okay.
It was at some fancy club in New York, and the two bouncers, they'd say ID, and they'd look at the ID, and then they get out that roller and start rolling the guy, and they go turn around, and the guy is like,
Why did they do that?
it was just a joke. It was hysterical.
Oh, see, it
And
takes
then
me a
the guy's
while.
kind of like, what are you doing?
Okay, it takes me a while.
I thought it was funny.
I want to ask Dr. Lee, everyone's all panicked about their dog getting Giardia and then the human getting Giardia. Would you address that?
Can I just say it's no fun until the Christmas?
I know,
your
but
whole
I
family
think
has
there's
to
a
get
lot of
tested for it.
misinformation out there about Giardia.
It's
There
in the
is
pools.
a lot of misinformation. Actually, I just had a client come in that wanted all of her pets treated for Giardia because she was worried about her getting it. I'm like, are your pets symptomatic? No.
No.
Who's infected? Well, this French bulldog puppy. I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. Let's go through the list. We have a Frenchy puppy. What are the many things, right? On page 3, we finally get to judge.
And don't get me started on the derm of a French bulldog puppy, but go on. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if no one's clinical, then the risk of you getting Giardia from your pet is actually remarkably low. Now, she ended up having had that happen, and she did have an immune suppressive disease. So we did alter course and do a very different path than what I thought we were going to. But one of the things, and it's always interesting because why we need words more than strains, right? With leptospirosis, we have serovars because you can't just say strains. And the same thing with Giardia, we have assemblages. I'm like,
I love that.
Assemblages.
assemblages,
It
right? I'm
sounds
like, are
political.
you taking votes? Like, is this like a Senate? Is it a quorum? What's going on? And so when you take a look at it, A and B are the human ones. It's easy to remember because C and D, right? Canine dog, those are your dog ones. E is everything equine and friends, so any of your ungulates. F is feline for cats, and then G is rats, and H is sea lions. So that's kind of your assemblages. Now, where it gets a little bit interesting is your assemblage A, your human one. That does get a variety of mammals, and that can be from animal to human and human to animal. But as a general rule, your dog assemblages C and D should not be considered zoonotic. And that's why in veterinary hospitals and with dogs across the world, you get all these puppies that have Giardia, but you're not having this mass public health issue. With that said, it is possible, but often it's more likely that your dog is at risk from your Giardia than vice versa.
Oh, wow.
So is it true that some dogs are, I guess this is proper, asymptomatic Giardia carriers? They're not showing any symptoms and they just have it. So you don't really address that. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct. There's a lot of times we get the asymptomatic, and when I talk to parasitologists, which I'm hoping and trying to become one, when you ask for their advice, like, what do you do? Because the test keeps up coming up positive.
Yeah.
And the parasitologists are like, stop testing.
I know.
And you won't find it.
Okay, speaking of which, I have not a funny story, but an interesting story. There's a mite called walking dandruff. Janet, this is for you. Dr. Lee knows this. It's called Chilatiella. The eggs of Chilatiella look like hookworm eggs. Seriously, there's a difference in size. So I remember having a Cocker Spaniel patient come in, and that was the most common breed that I would find this contagious mite on. So I'm checking the dog, and the owner is telling me she has this chronic, the dog, meaning she, has this chronic hookworm problem that they can't get rid of. Well, it wasn't hookworm at all. It was Chilatiella eggs. So imagine the antiparasitics that this poor dog had to go through when it really was never, it was a skin issue. Yeah.
Is it really called walking dandruff?
Yeah, because allegedly you could see it. In 35 years, I had a lot of Chilatiella cases. I never
So
saw
I'm
it.
picturing like a dandruff flake walking.
Right, apparently. But you can see lice, I'll tell you that. You just part that hair and, oh yeah, big time. I have a question.
Pilotella is one of my least favorite parasites to look at because
Yes.
they have those like
I
really
know.
huge
Like this. Yeah.
mouth. Yeah, they look like a little
Like
tarantula.
snappers.
He's ready
Yeah.
to, and you know, one interesting thing too is they call it walking dandruff, but I would say half of the cases I saw, and I know we're getting off topic, they were extremely itchy around the head and face because they can crawl into and out of the nose.
Oh.
These poor cats would rub their faces almost like a seizure. And it's because the mite can crawl into and out of those, and apparently into and out of the ears as well. But we had a real problem in Cleveland with it for a couple of years, and now that the new isoxazoline anti-parasitic drugs are out, we don't, problem solved.
Can we get back to dog parks? So
Yeah, okay,
we talked
thank
about,
you.
like poop. We talked about poop and stuff, but there are some dogs get aggressive and there's biting and things like that. What can happen if my dog gets bitten? Like, what should I do?
Yeah. Now, again, too, I do want to let's table
I know,
this, but I
regionally.
do want to come back to fleas too.
Oh.
And some of the
Yeah,
things there. But
yeah.
with bites, I mean, again, it's interesting. I was actually talking to a vet hospital this a couple years back, but they don't believe in rabies vaccines because it's been virtually eradicated. So what's the point? I'm like,
Oh my God.
no. Even in pampered Hollywood, California, I mean, we are seeing rabies. In fact, California sees about 200 cases a year. Wow. And that's just,
In
we're not
domestic
even
pets?
looking for it.
Domestic pets?
Yeah.
No,
Or rats
the
and
lion's share
foxes?
is going to be bats.
Okay.
But still, that 200 is where an animal is interfaced with a human.
Wow.
We do not have people like me, rappelling off of, Yosemite cliffs looking for bats that are rabid. So this is where an animal has come in contact with a person, and yet we're still finding this. So, it is so important whether you're indoor or outdoor to maintain your pet on rabies.
Wow.
And with bite wounds, I mean, shoot, the cost of these is going up. I will say that being a past medical director for a 24-hour ER hospital, 15 years ago, I was always recommending cultures. And I kind of like, well, I don't know. It's just because that's what UC Davis taught me to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why I spent $200 some of your money because it's sensitive to everything. Now, then going back and being a medical director and overseeing the charts of all of our 24-hour ER doctors, I become so passionate about cultures.
Oh,
Because I cannot tell you, it's rare now for me to find a culture where it's sensitive to everything. The resistance is bad. In fact, one was so bad and it was in the bone, I was calling up and getting a consult with their internal medicine specialist.
Wow.
And when I talked to her, she was like, well, yeah, actually, chemotherapy would probably be easier than this. I don't know that there is a good solution. It is just a bacterial infection, but I don't know how you're going to be able to solve it because the bacteria that it is, the drug that you need, it's going to be very expensive and potentially organ-affecting injections that you're going to need daily for about 20 days. So they may want to think about euthanasia.
Oh my God.
I will say now that when I do like lacerations come in from the ER, cultures just thrown on.
Wow. Well, and Janet, that speaks to your point. Some people will take their dog to a dog park to be socialized at your dog's expense. And like Dr. Lisa, then you've got bites and everything else. I am anti-dog park, but I don't want to talk negatively unless I can think of a solution. And I think a good solution is they have supervised dog parks where they make you show proof that your dog is on a heartworm, flea, tick preventative, that it's been vaccinated, and you maybe just have a certain small group of dogs that
are protected.
I think that's the solution.
I
Or
didn't
a
realize that
solution.
you guys are anti-dog park.
I am. I am so
I don't go because she told me not to go.
I am so crazed. You know, I walk with a former employee of mine, and we passed this woman that was walking two golden retrievers at the same time, and I thought to myself, "Wow, I could never do that with mine." They got two steps behind us, and those two goldens attacked the golden we were walking, and I got to tell you, it was PTSD for me. That was a poor Maisie had to have like 15 staples, and it punched a hole right down in her nasal plane. It was bad. And although I'll give the woman credit, she was face planted. The dogs pulled her down, and she did hang on to them because it would have been worse had she let them go.
Okay, so interesting because I'm kind of pro dog park.
Okay, and I'm not, but I'm a nervous person.
She is.
So to me, though, I guess it's a little bit dog park to dog park.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine called me up and she goes, I got a really weird question for you. She goes, would you come and meet me in Vegas for a couple days so we could go see Bear Manilow? I'm like, yes.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, I'll be there.
Manilow.
Yes, total Fanilow. So I'm like, yeah. And, you know, and it's funny because when you're gathering in the, you know, we were in the casino and I was talking to my friend Jody. I'm like, oh, no, are we in the right spot? She goes, just look around, look at the people. You're in the right spot. So I feel like, you know, if you're going to some like dog parks range, right? From the Fanlows to like the crazy raves and everything in between. But it's kind of like when people talk about, I think you and I talked about this, Alice, of, oh, well, my pet doesn't need lepto because it doesn't go anywhere where there's risk. Well, now I'm genuinely worried that your dog has a really not great dog life. Like you should be having risk. That's part of life.
Right.
You know, and when it comes back to, and that was one of the things when you asked about what people can get, and I don't know why I spaced this, but I think one of the biggest risks about dog parks is fleas.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Because we had one of my friends, her fiance was 36. I say was, but don't worry, he's not.
Oh, that's, I just got.
But it was a close call. He was 36 at the time, got bit by a single flea, had typhus, was in a coma, and months worth of rehabilitation.
Oh my God.
We have a massive problem with typhus here in Southern California. We also have plague that comes out. And one of the problems is you have different types of fleas, right? You have Tenniscephalides felis, your basic flea, but you also have Xenopsilla chiopus, your oriental rat flea. Oh. And so you have those two flea populations, and then you add in possums, skunks, raccoons, you have homeless people, you have cats.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that starts to mix, and we have plague, typhus, Bartonella, all these things start to interplay. And so, but again, if you're on an isoxazoline, every month, you're good. You do not need flea and tick protection 365 days a year, but you do need it 12 months out of the year.
That's right. That's right. And think about that one, Janet. I love that saying.
Hey, did you know that Blue Buffalo makes prescription diets that are formulated by animal nutritionists and veterinarians? And they're used for dietary needs such as kidney support, gastrointestinal support, weight management, and our favorite, allergy and skin problems.
They make a food allergic diet that's an alligator-based called NP or a hydrolyzed salmon-based for dogs and cats called HF.
So please ask your veterinarian about Blue Buffalo prescription diets.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
I was going to tell you, when I was telling my doctor, when I came home from Florida, we do all our doctor appointments. I was telling Dr. Maybe about the podcast, and we were talking about public health. And he said, when I was still working in the hospital, instead of seeing patients, he said, we had a man with typhus. And he said he was on the respirator. We finally figured it out. And thank God he lived. But my thought was, I really believe veterinarians are more educated in public health than human physicians are, because it's not something they think about right away. Oh, this be typhus? But we think about that because of the flea component.
And it's sad because there's a lot of people in public health that discredit veterinarians.
I know.
I was just talking to a friend of mine, and she's completing her master's. The college has shut down the veterinary program for it. Yeah. And one of the main people they have to work with, she says veterinarians, not only are they not bright enough, but they have no business in being part of public health. And no, we are at the forefront. In fact, in that master's program, which I was happy to be a part of when it was good, Rudolph Virchow said, there is no dividing line between human and animal medicine, nor should there be.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this on multiple shows, and guess who diagnosed my Lyme? The veterinarian and my chiropractor.
Okay, now Janet, you need to ask Dr. Lee about what you've been going through.
Okay, now
I know this isn't on the, but you have to while we have him here, because this could be fun.
So Dr. Lee, 2 years ago in May, I went to Tuscany in Italy for a week, and we ate you can imagine, we ate everything. It was fabulous. From the whole trip, I've never been sicker in my life, which I guess is what they call traveler's diarrhea. And I have suffered on and off for 2 years. And the sample test that the doctor does, the human doctor only tests like X number. Oh, you're fine, you don't have anything, no bacteria. But my chiropractor sent to like this Uber testing place, and I ended up having Morganelli something and an overgrowth of yeast. So the medical doctor then treated me for that. But I got so fed up because I've been suffering for so long. They treated me with something called Xifaxan, which is a human drug that only treats the intestine. But I just spent literally the last 2 weeks on the couch or in bed with the clicker because I was so miserable from the side effects. So everybody has to cross their fingers. They just think I picked something up in Italy.
And she's had colonoscopies, sigmoidoscopies. They've done, I think, pretty good workups. But,
But it's not solved. Well, we don't know if it's solved yet because I'm only day 1 off the medicine. So we'll see.
And it's challenging. I know I've moved states like 5 or 6 times in my life for, work and life. And every time I go, like the first year is always rough. A lot of different respiratory things, a lot of different GI things. And then you're like, oh, now I get all of the local microbiome. And so I do think that there's, that a friend of mine, she and her boyfriend went to Bali and they got Bali belly.
Oh.
Yeah, they were like 2-3 days in the hotel taking turns out of the bathroom. And she's like, we learned stuff about each other. We never.
That's like Montezuma's revenge.
Wow.
One of the people I used to work with, he was worried that he had Lyme disease. And the doctor ran a couple tests and said, no, that's stupid. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And they were, again, going down this road and steroids was on the ticket. And so he actually used the in-house point of care Lyme test, came up positive, walked in and said, look at this, please recheck. And when they went and rechecked with additional tests, he was indeed positive for Lyme.
Wow.
The one they do in the doctor's office tests 3 things. And if 2 of those are positive, you have Lyme disease. One of my numbers was off the chart. The other 2 were not.
Yeah.
Nope, you don't have it.
Yeah.
And so, again, it was my chiropractor who sent it to not Galaxy, the other lab that I used. And it was like rampant, and it showed I had Bartonella. So anyway, I've just learned that in human medicine, especially these days, you've really got to be your own advocate and just push, 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 push. So,
Well, and it's challenging too because with Lyme disease and a lot of these others, I mean, there's a lot of different biomarkers that we look for. And so
Yeah.
some are, is it exposure? Is it infection? Is it active? Is it chronic? You know.
I mean, they were testing me for stuff like MS because they didn't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is terrifying. But anyway, okay, I have another question.
Oh.
So I know we like dog parks. There are good things about dog parks, but are there certain dogs maybe who are immunocompromised or something that shouldn't really be exposed at a dog park?
Oh.
Well, I mean, again, that kind of comes back to the whole thing of, I mean, to me, like if you live your life
Yeah.
in a bubble, then yeah, you're going to be protected and live longer. But was
Yeah.
that really cool? I mean, it kind of depends on the animal too, right? Or the person. I know that there are some dogs that are just, I really just love being on the couch. Do we have to go on the walk? And then there's others like, well, I can't wait for the walk. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of in the middle. I'm probably more like a little couch potato than I am not. But I do like going out and I like doing, cruises and going out and seeing stuff. So I like life and I like having risks. So I think it's all
Barry
kind of,
Manilow. That worked.
yeah. So I think for some of your like your Frenchies, your Greyhounds, your
Yeah.
maybe your Christianoid dogs, maybe the Fanlo Park is a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I do think I'm with you, Alice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these dog parks. I'm like, I don't know what are you doing? These places are a great way to get. I mean, some dog parks bring me at the ER mass amounts of money.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, they just come in and we do lacerations all day. every
Oh,
day.
I bet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's, there is that range. So.
Well, when I told you we're restoring this house in Venice, Florida, and I'm on their city.
Where we almost, hold on a minute, Alice and I were subjected to feces where we could have gotten that, what is it called?
We have the masks on. We had my old lab coats on. We had goggles on while we were cleaning out 7
Gloves.
dumpsters full of stuff. But anyway,
But what was it, what we were trying not to get?
Hantavirus?
yeah, yes. But then I came home after 6 months of this house being vacant in Ohio, the mice had taken over in the winter.
You didn't tell me this.
No, my husband asked me to stop using the washing machine because I was running 50 loads a day I had to clean everything out. But anyway, I wanted to ask, they have a dog beach in Venice. And so I was reading, and some people, the comments were interesting. The comments
I
were,
have been there.
yeah, we love the dog beach. My dogs got attacked on the dog beach. So you see what I mean? I'm weighing yes versus
So
no.
we have a dog park here.
No,
where you have to
dog
have a
beach.
code.
Dog beach.
No, but the dog park here, you have to have a code to get in. It's a town one. Because you have to show your dog has been
I
vaccinated.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but here's my thing.
Okay.
How do they know when to change the code? For the dogs
I don't know.
that don't have current vaccinations.
Yeah,
Oh.
but I do kind of feel like if you're part of the group that's the higher risk, there's probably better places to go.
Yeah.
I don't
Point.
know. I mean, having any layer, I mean, okay, so I love, like, we have Venice Beach. If you like people watching, I don't know.
In
the
California?
exact-
California.
In California, right? Or
It's
Venice.
something.
When you said Venice Beach, I'm like, oh my gosh, my
No,
Venice, Beach,
Venice, Florida is the Fanalo.
Yeah.
But go
No,
on.
Venice, Florida
Okay.
is more like walkers than oxygen tanks.
Okay, so I don't even know how I would describe Venice Beach, California. It is out there. It is as out
It's
there
out
as
there.
you get. And it's wonderful. I love doing it. But I will say, like, my big pet peeve, when I go there, I almost always find people bringing puppies.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, please wait till they're 2
Yeah.
weeks after their last vaccination. I
Yeah.
get that the 8-week-old puppy is going to bring you lots of attention from whomever you're trying to get. However,
Yeah.
please stop that.
Yeah, and that's, you're right, because they do need to be socialized, but yet they need their immune protection from the vaccines before they're around other animals. And I don't think people really, what kills me is we're going on vacation next week and the vet says he needs his Bordetella. Well, if I give Bordetella today, by next week, nothing's going to be happening then. You've got, well, possibly, but don't you have to think ahead, right, Dr. Lee?
That always comes interesting. So if you're a naive animal,
Yes.
meaning you've never seen Bordetella,
Right.
you get an oral or intranasal vaccine 2 weeks before you have proper immunity.
Okay.
If you're an injectable and you're naive, it's 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So you're looking at about a month.
Wow.
However, if you've been previously immunized, whether it's injectable or intranasal or oral, you already have memory cells ready. And so you could have a boost in your response within 72 hours.
Oh, that's
other
great.
thing is that intranasal and oral vaccines, they stimulate local immunity, which is why some dogs do get the snorting, coughing, little congestion. That from local cytokines, they also get a raise of some protection. Where it does become a little bit more of a problem is, first time lepto vaccines, and then they're going into boarding. I'm like, no, you're not protected.
Blue Buffalo natural veterinary diets offer a natural alternative in nutritional therapy. With their in-house research and development team with over 300 years experience in well pet and veterinary therapeutic diets, more than 600 scientific publications, and more than 50 U.S. patents. Blue Buffalo natural veterinary diets.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. Thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
Would you talk a little bit about people that come in and want their dog titered for communicable diseases?
Yeah,
I know that's an open can of worms.
Titers, it's kind of this thing. I think it's really popular too, and it's very popular here in California with I don't want all this extra stuff going into my pets.
Right.
And I get that. I mean, conceptually, I get it. However, when you think about your immune system, right, you have your humoral branch, you have your cell-mediated branch, and those two are going to complete a lot of the immunity, more so with some things like viruses. But when we take a look at this, your humoral branch is your antibodies. Your cell-mediated is what covers you when your cells get sick. So if you've ever had that cold where you go to bed and your throat's just a little tickle, and then you wake up and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's actually not the virus that's caused that. That's your cell-mediated immunity protecting you from pneumonia. It has killed and culled all of the cells that were infected. So that is gone. And that's why when you come back to work and you're like, hey guys, everyone's like, stay away. You're like, I feel fine. Depending on how many layers it had to peel back, that changes how long it takes for you to come back. So when we then take a look at a titer, titers are just antibody levels. That gives you some information about humoral, no information about cell-mediated. And for many diseases, cell-mediated may be the most important. So for example, Zoetis makes a human measles vaccines that can protect dogs from distemper. And oh my gosh, it's a whole separate side story, but it's very cool. We actually created measles as from from measles. Not in a good way. It's a
Yeah.
cool, interesting story, but not necessarily a good one. But so if you take a dog, never seen distemper ever, give it a measles vaccine. A couple weeks later, you take a titer, they will have zero distemper vaccine antibodies.
Okay.
Zero distemper antibodies, right? Because you immunize the dog for measles, you would not have any distemper antibodies.
Okay.
But then you challenge that dog with virulent distemper virus, you will have no infection. Why? Because measles and distemper are so related that the cell-mediated immunity recognizes it.
Wow.
So just because you have zero titer doesn't mean that you have zero protection.
Right.
On the other side, let's say like Janet, you and I, right, we're going to be vaccinated towards something.
Mhm.
And your parents met through very normal ways. And so you have this nice little complement of different ways of looking at a pathogen through your what are called MHC, your major histocompatibility complex. So these MHCs, you have like a group of them that were given, some from your mom, some from your dad. I, on the other hand, was completely inbred for multiple generations, right? You're like, I didn't see that at all. But if that's the case,
Right.
I have a much more limited
Yes.
MHC.
Right.
So then you and I both get vaccinated, and then they test our titers. Well, Janet, your titer may be here, but it's all these different types of antibodies.
Mhm.
My titer may be here,
Right.
but it's only one. So it's only providing a very limited amount of protection going on. So, I mean, I think titers are kind of a finger in the wind scenario.
Wow.
When you have situations where, like, I have clients that have that their dogs, my patients, they have immune compromise. Maybe they've had IMHA from something plus or minus vaccines. We have strong concerns that giving a vaccine is going to be a high risk. The juice is not worth the squeeze in that situation. Titers are fine. When you start using titers as a mass strategy because you're trying to not put vaccines through your pet, that is where I have problems.
Yeah.
That
I
is
agree.
not a good way of going about this.
I agree.
What about people, pet owners who have exotics? Do they need to worry about anything in particular that they could contract from that snake?
Where do we begin?
Okay, so that was a loaded question. I had no idea.
Well, but one of the problems with exotics too is that, like mammals with rabies vaccines, it's all extra label. You can vaccinate that animal however often you want. The law is never going to look at that animal as protected.
So if that animal bites somebody, it's got to be put down, correct?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, depending on the county.
Yeah.
I live in a county that's
Oh.
kind of Wild West.
Is that right? Hey, I just want to say, going back to our dog park controversy, I
Oh,
know.
jeez.
Okay, no, just if this is kind of cool. I noticed there was an ad somewhere in Ohio where it's $10 an hour and they rent out their farm and you can bring your pet. You can bring as many as I think it was 10. Like Janet, you could take Libby, I could take Annie and Gidget, and for $10 an hour, they can just run and have the best time ever. Like it's a private thing. You know what I'm saying?
$10 an hour, they're not going to make any money.
I know, but that's kind of fun. They got all this land and they figured, hey, I'll let some people with pets enjoy it. I thought it was kind
Cheaper
of,
than Disneyland.
yeah. Yeah, right.
Well,
And
it's
they
kind of
said-
like goat yoga, right? I mean,
Oh my God, goat yoga, yeah. Oh my.
I think that's so much fun.
I think it's fun. I mean, you got to live life.
I love
There's
goats.
risk in living. There's risk in living.
Yeah.
But I do have to tell you, Dr. Lee, one of my classmates, Darla Boyk, if you're listening, she caught cryptosporidium when we were vet students from a calf. And Janet, you think you were sick with GI? She was
Yeah.
literally 7 days in the hospital on IVs.
Oh.
It was worse than a colonoscopy prep.
Cryptosporidium is bad. and certainly petting zoos are a high risk of it.
Yes.
But people get a lot more crypto from other people. It's kind of like water parks. I've loved water parks. I love the idea. After my master's of public health and my parasitology and public health training, I don't know how you get me into one.
Tell me what you can get from a water park.
Giardia.
Well, crypto is really high. It's more of the
Crypto.
fact that that's one of the there's a few of them that are resistant to things like, when you end up adding in bleach. And I'm 90% sure that's crypto. That's the water park one. But then you can also get things like norovirus, right?
True.
So
Wow.
that's like your basic cruise ship virus, which they're a non-envelope virus, so they're a lot more hardy and resistant to things.
Well, when I lived in California, I worked for a health and fitness corporation. We had pools and hot tubs and saunas, everything. And
and wait, Dr. Lee, she neglected to recognize Barry Bonds, and he was like humiliated. And she said,
didn't know who the hell he was.
And your
I just
name
moved.
is?
I said, and you are? He said, I'm here to see Mr. Jones. And I said, and you are? And he did a. I said, I apologize. I don't, what's your
You're
name?
from Ohio. You don't know Barry Bonds.
And I had just moved from New York to California. I thought the Giants were baseball. I mean, I was a mess. But anyway.
Yeah.
So every
Hot tub.
summer
Yeah.
we had AKA the Baby Ruth in the pools, right? And it was, oh my God. And you'd have to get everybody out of the pool. And then, of course, you had all the parents calling, do I need to get my kid tested? And it was hell. I mean, the public pool thing. And we also did not clean. It was ultraviolet light. It was a very advanced system they used. So it didn't have the chlorine smell. And I have to tell you, I prefer to have the chlorine because you feel like it's doing something.
I don't understand.
Okay, so I have a really interesting thing about chlorine.
Okay.
Right, because all of us are kind of that same age where we remember going to the public pools.
I love the smell of
and-
chlorine.
Right, you have that smell of chlorine, and you're like, it's so
I love
clean.
it.
So a perfectly chlorinated pool
Yeah.
has zero chlorine smell. Where does the chlorine smell come from? They're chloramines, which is a reaction from the chlorine to things like biological fluids, feces.
God.
So when you go to a public pool and you have more chlorine smell,
I'm
It's
not going
because
in.
it's reacted to bodily fluids. So I wrote an article called "What's the one thing you need to ask yourself before getting into a pool?" And that question is, would you bathe with these people? Because that is what you're doing, right? You're supposed to, shower before, but usually just shower after. The other thing is, and Alice, you know this, although in dermatology you probably rarely run it, but pro-BNP, right, for heart. Pro-BNP is brain natriuretic peptide. It is the reason why we pee in pools. So brain natriuretic peptide, when you run the pro-BNP test, there's a little sensor in your heart. Sorry, I've done anatomy. Heart.
Yeah. You got it right.
I pledge allegiance.
So when you look at that, there's little sensors in your heart saying, how's my blood pressure going up or down? So when it goes up, your brain releases brain natriuretic peptide. Your heart goes, hey, release this out. And so then you release this super strong diuretic, stronger than Lasix or furosemide, and you let everything out. So when you sit there, you've done the right thing, right? You've showered before the pool, you've gone to the bathroom, you jump in the pool, but you're nice and hydrated. Now you got all this pressure pushing on all of your body. Your blood pressure goes up.
Makes you pee.
And all of a sudden your brain is releasing all of this BNP. You have a massive amount of diuretic in your system. And now as you're swimming, you're like, well, do I get out or do I just swim real natural like? That's also why when you are like, if you go out skiing, You put on
Yeah.
all of your gear and you get out and it's cold and your body goes whoop, and it brings up all of vasoconstricts,
That's right.
pulls up blood pressure, releases diuretic.
Wow.
And so that's one of the other problems, is that when you jump into a pool with a bunch of people who may also have alcohol on board, you have all of this diuretics running through everybody's system.
Oh my God.
Swim up bars, I'm out.
Yes. Okay, so let me tell you two things. One, I can't stand seeing babies with diapers in the pool. Okay, that's one. Second, when you've had too much to drink, now think about this next time. Alcohol inhibits anti-diuretic hormone. So you're peeing, and when I have too much to drink, I think, oh, I'm inhibiting anti-diuretic hormone. Always science. That's why you're
Wait a
peeing.
minute. But the rule at our club was the worst invention ever were those swim diapers, because it made people put swim
What?
diaper. It's a special diaper that keeps.
Oh,
everything
yeah, I
wet.
bet those work.
Okay,
Not.
wait a minute. We used to require having a rubber panty over it because it was like a double. I cannot tell you how many parents I had to fight over that, because the what would come slip right out the pant leg.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the
And then
other
you had to
thing
send
is,
the 12-year-old lifeguard in to scoop up the baby. Ruth.
Oh.
But anyway.
the other thing is that people don't realize from hot tubs, you can get Pseudomonas bacteria around, particularly around your waistband. We used to see that.
Oh my God! So we are never
Because it
going
likes warm.
in a public pool. I
No.
don't know about the dog park thing yet.
I'm not going to the dog park. I'm sorry, Dr. Lee. I love you, but I can't do it. I still will go to the park and walk where there was the big poop today. But yeah.
Well, Al, we need to wrap it up. So,
Oh.
Dr. Lee, you are
Oh.
amazing. You're so dang smart. Thank you. Daddy would say smart cookie.
No,
And,
I think he should be a stand-up comedian. I keep telling him that.
I
You could take it
appreciate
out.
it. I don't know. I love talking to you guys. You've been so fun. So fun.
Well, thank you. This has been so informative. I heard a lot of long words. That's okay.
Well,
I will-
the problem is when I get together with Dr. Lee, we start like feeding off each other, and Janet has to intersect in there and go like, now wait a minute.
Is that a flea?
Yeah.
It's a good balance, because we got, two crazy geeks bouncing off of each other.
Well, I still mispronounce spirochetes
Oh,
because I like the sound of spirochete better than spirochete.
it's like a croquette.
I
Well,
know.
but
it
that's
sounds
okay.
like
So in parasitology, it's a very small world, and like I have a mentor up in Canada. A lot of the people are in the Middle East. Very few people on my calls is English their first language.
right.
Oh.
So when we have all of these parasites, we all say them very, very differently.
Oh,
And
interesting.
there's not enough of us to really have anyone be the authority of how you properly say it.
That's
and at
true.
one point, there was one person going on and on about these parasites, and this was like a year ago. I was like, oh my God, I'm saying these all wrong. And so we're talking, I'm like, well, what are you going to have for lunch? She's like, I'm having the cottage cheese. Okay, then I guess I'm saying everything just fine.
The fromage de cottage.
No, and I was talking to one of the people. He's one of the big parasitologists over at Cornell, and I was going on about
Dr. Bowman?
Selanism. No, I did get the opportunity to meet him this year.
Okay.
No, I was talking to Dr. Timmy Wu, and I was asking him questions about Selanism, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like,
Sounds like a dessert.
Ancylostoma selanism. He means selenicum. Yeah, that one. Oh. He's like,
Well, that's
that
like
is.
the word selenium. Some people say it's selenium.
Yeah. So what I have found is that there's a lot of it when it comes to the drugs. Even like you and I say isoxazoline. There's a lot of people, even within the industry, that sell the drug that call it isoxazoline.
Me,
So
I do. Depending on what time of day, I call it either. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you're actually totally cool calling it whatever you
Yeah.
want. Just don't do what I did and talk to a person at a university that has no idea what you're talking about.
Oh. Okay, and Janet, you never asked me this, but I want to tell Dr. Lee because he'll get this. One of my pet peeves is when I hear a member of my own derm college doing a podcast or webinar and says pruritus instead of pruritus. It's pruritus, not pur.
It's pruritus. I
Yes,
knew that.
pruritus is not pruritus. Anyway, sorry, had to get.
Wait, now, Dr. Lee, are you at UC Davis?
No, I'm in Riverside, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm really just doing a lot of online stuff. Is
Oh,
what
cool.
what I do.
Cool.
But I was from UC Davis, and so obviously a big fan, and working with Dr. Jane Sykes. I'm very excited. We're actually trying to get a paper on salmon poisoning published in the CDC. So still work with some of the people. And I work with one of the immunologists up in UC Davis too.
Janet, when he was talking about salmon poisoning, some dogs, if they eat, is it raw salmon, Dr. Lee?
So in
They get
Southern
sick.
California, most of the time it's trout.
Oh, that's right. There's a lot of trout. Yeah.
So it's a really bad name. Although I could say that for most things in parasitology.
That's true.
They need to get rid of eponyms too, but it's called salmon poisoning disease, yet it's salmon, trout, salamanders. It's not poisoning, it's an infection. And the disease is right. But it should be like, trout, salamander, infection of death. I don't know.
Can humans get salmon poisoning or no?
They do. Usually it causes more of a mild enteritis. That's actually the reason why we're getting it into CDC, the EID, is if it wasn't a zoonotic, it wouldn't get into that.
Anyway, Dr. Lee, I can't thank you enough. It's
Thank
always
you. It's a pleasure.
It's edutaining to quote you when we have you on, and I love that.
Love to
So
come on
anyway.
anytime, guys.
Yay! Back at you.
Thank you.
Anyway, this is Dr. Alice Novotny Droman from Cleveland, Ohio, and
Janet Novotny King, a Cleveland native. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Don't forget to love us, like us, follow us, share us with your friends. We're getting a lot of great feedback from our listeners. Thank you.
yeah. Everyone, have a great day and kiss the pets.
Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you learned some valuable information about making decisions about your pet's health.
And don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe on podcasts, because we love to have those likes. Thanks so much for listening.
That's actually really good.
Oh,
you could both go bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, yeah.
How about woof woof?
This episode of Speaking of Pets podcast was sponsored by Blue Buffalo Veterinary Diets. Love them like family, feed them like family.
Follow us on social at Speaking of Pets and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Speaking of Pets podcast is an SLA video production.